I think people are asking the wrong question. It's not, am I rich? It's what needs to happen in my life for me to feel wealthy, because the data is not in our favor. It shows, according to a recent Charles Schwab survey, most Americans think you need $2.5 million to be considered wealthy. That number becomes this quiet benchmark we carry around. Like we're not allowed to feel secure or successful until we hit it. But wealth isn't just about a number, it's about freedom. It's about flexibility, peace of mind, and for some people, it's as simple as having control over your time. If you don't question that 2.5 million mark or some other irrelevant number, you might miss what's already good in your life. You could work longer than you need to, say no to things that you can afford, or live more cautiously than necessary. I think of a client, let's call her Joan. She retired, she has no debt, and lives comfortably on less than $50,000 a year. When I asked what makes her feel wealthy, she said, I can go for a walk whenever the weather's nice. That means everything to me. She doesn't feel rushed, she doesn't feel trapped. That's real wealth, and you might not see yourself as rich, but you might already have more freedom than you realize. That's the subject of today's video. I'll walk you through 12 signs that you're probably doing better than you think. Welcome to the Retirement Guide channel. I'm Daryl Rosen. My firm Securement Wealth helps people just like you plan for and hopefully enjoy their retirement. Hopefully. If you've been watching these, my sons would say, silly videos for a while, you know where I stand on things. I want you to retire as soon as you can, and I want you to spend your money when you're younger and healthier. I am unapologetic about that. But here's the thing. Life isn't just about how much you spend. And I know plenty of people, friends, clients, family, who do not have millions in the bank, yet they live extraordinarily wealthy lives. Not because of what they own, but because of how they live. For me, it all starts with something really simple: walking. See, I'm off 2 surgeries, including a full knee replacement. And I can tell you without a doubt, there's no greater joy for me than going out for a walk on a beautiful day. It's finally nice here in Chicago, and I don't take any of that for granted. So the first sign that you might be wealthier than you think, well, you're alive and your body works. And you can go out for a walk just like I did this morning, and like my client Joan, who says that's what makes her feel wealthy. And if that resonates with you, please keep watching, because there are 11 more reasons why you might already be doing better than you think. Okay, let's start with something big. If you've paid off your mortgage or eliminated high interest debt, you've created some financial breathing room for yourself that many others simply, they just don't have. In fact, according to the Federal Reserve, the average American household carries over $100,000 of debt. This could be mortgages, student loan debt, credit cards, all kinds of debt. And being debt-free isn't just a financial milestone. It's really, quite frankly, it's an emotional one. And as Morgan Housel writes in The Psychology of Money, one of my favorite books, freedom from worry is a form of wealth that no spreadsheet can manage. But what if you still have a little bit of debt? Well, that's okay too. Many of my clients have paid off their homes, but a few chose to refinance at rock bottom interest rates and they still carry a mortgage. They often ask me, is it okay to keep this mortgage in retirement? My answer is, of course it is. It's absolutely okay. Look, we're not spreadsheets. We're not algorithms. We're human. And if a small, manageable mortgage gives you peace of mind and that flexibility elsewhere in your plan in retirement, then it can be a perfectly reasonable choice for you. You don't want a mortgage? That's fine also, because wealth isn't about doing what looks best on paper. It's about what works best for you. And if watching these videos works well for you, make sure to hit the subscribe button. No pressure. I'll wait right here. We often think of wealth in terms of dollars, but time is more of a limited currency. If you have the ability to wake up without an alarm clock or to take a walk on a sunny day, that may constitute wealth. Back to my client, Joan, the walker, one last time. When I asked what makes her feel wealthy, she thought for a moment. She said, I can go for a walk anytime the weather's nice. That means everything in the world to me. She's not chasing a number. She's living her values. You could tell it was a long winter. I seem obsessed with going for a walk. Do you have an emergency fund or a cushion in your investment accounts? Well, The ability to cover a surprise car repair or tax bill, medical expense without spiraling into panic is a big deal. That's not luck. That's financial resilience, and it's more valuable than most people realize. In fact, according to a 2023 Bankrate survey, 57% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency with savings. If you can, you're already ahead of the curve. But it's not just about emergencies. Emotional resilience matters just as much when the markets get rocky or volatile. So here's something I tell my clients. I want you to think of your money in time segments. Some of it you'll need soon. Some of it you may never touch. And I never want you to take risks with the money you need to pay your bills. When you structure your investments by time horizon, market dips become easier to handle. You stop reacting. You stop refreshing your portfolio 14 times a day. And that right there is a quiet kind of wealth. The ability to stay calm when the world feels uncertain. Sounds basic, but it's powerful. Spending less than you earn consistently is the foundation of every sustainable wealth plan, no matter your income level. That margin, the margin you create, it buys freedom, flexibility, and the space to say yes to things that actually matter to you. In Die with Zero, Bill Perkins talks about aligning your spending with what brings you the most joy. The goal is not to die with the biggest bank account, it's to fill your life with the richest experiences. And the people who do that best aren't always the ones with the biggest paychecks. They're the ones who know what they want and know what it looks like. Here's a small but unforgettable example. I recently took my family to a nice steakhouse for dinner. If you're surprised by that, so were they. Anyway, it was a great night out together. So something silly happened, something very slapsticky. I'm not going to bore you with the details, something involving ketchup of all things. And we laughed so hard, we nearly cried. And we still talk about it. We still laugh about it. You probably had to be there, I realize. But that's the point. We were there. Because when you live below your means, you create the margin for moments like that. Moments that don't show up on an account statement, but stay with you forever. Most people focus heavily on a single asset like their home or their 401k, but true financial strength comes from diversification. If you have multiple streams, Social Security, investment, income, Roth accounts, even part-time work, you're not just building wealth, but what you're doing is building options. And I've always felt that options equal more freedom in retirement. So you want to have as many sources of guaranteed income as possible. Even if you're still working, could you afford to stop? That question alone says a lot about where you are financially. Now, for many retirees or soon-to-be retirees, the goal isn't necessarily to stop working the minute they hit a certain age. Certainly, we don't want that. The goal is to reach a point where work becomes more of, we could call it a choice. It's not a requirement. And that's a quiet but powerful form of wealth. Think about it. You're no longer working to survive, to pay the bills, or to keep the lights on. You're working if you choose to because it gives you some purpose, which we'll talk about in a bit, structure or social connection. That shift from have to work to want to work. Well, that changes everything. I mean, I've had clients in their late 60s say, I'm still working, but I sleep better knowing I don't need to. And that's like magic. It's not about escaping work. It's about escaping the fear of running out of money should you stop working. And if you don't want to stop yet, that's fine too. But knowing you can, that's a priceless form of freedom. Tax flexibility does not get the same attention as investment returns, but honestly, it should. If you've built a mix of taxable, tax-deferred, and tax-free accounts, you have something incredibly valuable that's working for you. It's called control. Control over how and when you pay taxes in retirement, control over how much income you show on paper, and control over how much you get to keep. Take Rick and Amanda, my clients, for example. By pulling income from a smart blend of Roth accounts, traditional IRA accounts, and their taxable account, they were able to generate 6 figures of retirement income while keeping their tax bill surprisingly low. That's not luck, and it certainly isn't magic. It's thoughtful planning. Here's how I want you to think about it. Every dollar you have falls into one of 3 buckets. There's the taxable bucket, for which you get a 1099 every year. You pay tax on the gains. That could be a savings account, that kind of thing, brokerage account. There's tax deferred accounts, which is your 401ks, your IRAs, your 403bs, etc. And the third category is your tax-free or your Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, and in some cases, cash value life insurance. Believe it or not, my friends, there is a mathematically ideal mix across these buckets. And that ideal mix, it will allow you to use the tax bracket, standard deductions, and all the different credits to your advantage. The more balanced your buckets, the more freedom you have to shape your retirement income and how much tax you pay. This one is often overlooked. Where you live changes how far your money goes. And Jeff Knobs, in his article, Troubling Trends in U.S. Healthy Life Expectancy, he highlights how location affects not just your cost of living, but also your quality of life. Similarly, in Die with Zero, Bill Perkins describes the concept of geographic arbitrage, living somewhere cheaper while maintaining the same quality lifestyle. And if you've downsized or located or chosen a region with lower taxes and healthcare costs, your money may last far longer than someone with the same net worth living in a higher cost city or area. I told you we're going to come back to purpose, and this may seem off to hear, but I believe that having purpose is a form of wealth. And studies show that might be the case. That people who feel a strong sense of meaning in retirement, they live longer, healthier lives. According to research published in Psychological Science, retirees with a clear sense of direction had a 15% lower risk of death during the study period. And if you're already volunteering or learning new things, staying active, or spending time with people you love, you're really investing in something far more valuable than just dollars, money, investment, some of the financial stuff we talk about. You're building a retirement that actually might feel good to you. Okay, caveat. If you like your children and they're nice to you, my 3 sons live in Chicago within a few blocks of each other. 2 of them even live in the same building. Talk about convenience. I have friends, as you do, with their adult children all over the world. Mine are 30 minutes away. And I can't tell you how good that makes me feel. Again, only when they're being nice to me. All right, here's the quiet truth. The wealthiest people I meet aren't always the ones with the biggest portfolios. They're the ones who feel calm when they look at their finances. They have a plan, they have enough. If you find yourself checking your accounts less often or worrying less about every market dip, that's a sign of confidence, of balance, of having enough, of knowing when good enough is good enough. And that, in many ways, is the highest form of wealth there is. Here's my final thought on the topic. Wealth isn't always what you think. It's easy to feel like you're behind, especially when all the headlines and social media, they all make it seem like everyone else is retiring early, buying a second home, living their best life. But the truth is, you might already be living yours. If you've built a life that gives you time, choice, and peace of mind, you already may be wealthier than most. And if you're not sure where you stand, a securement review might be just the ticket to help you map it out. No sales pitch, just clarity, because the goal isn't to chase some bigger number. The goal is to live well with what you already have. If you like this video, you might like this other one. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.